Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Dear White People Season 1, Episode 10. It's called Chapter 10, and of course it is the season finale, so yay, we got to the end. Here we are.
Finally made it.
Yeah.
We're only like 6 months late. I don't know. I can't remember when it started, to be honest.
I think it was April, so I think we're 4 months late.
I don't know. It was a wild stab in the dark.
So, that's what actually interesting, because it started with the narration like it usually does, and it started on Sam, and it was like, okay, it's going to be Sam's episode for the finale. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. You know, she's kind of the first main character. But then it started to do this fun thing where it was like, no, they had a split screen with Gabe, and then you know, and then Troy get brought into it. Lionel was into it. Like, everyone was.
Yeah, it was a real the first time it's really been an ensemble episode.
Yeah. But it makes sense. Obviously, we've been building up to this protest and this town hall meeting, which they've been building to for the last like 3 or 4 episodes. So it made sense. That's where we ended up, and yeah. So I think it neatly left some things open for next season, but it did kind of like give us some nice closing elements to some various arcs.
Yeah.
All episode, like Sam's actually guilty about everything that's happened with Gabe, and she actually brings up that she should have said something, that he actually did the right thing at the party. He didn't do anything wrong, and she should have actually spoke up and said that when everyone was kind of like giving him shit for it.
Yeah.
And I like that because I think it harkens back to the very first episode with her, where we see her change the music because she wants this image. It's kind of an extension of the same sort of fault where she has to kind of hide maybe parts of who she really is to fit with
Be part of the crowd.
the public outgoing message she wants to send to people, and doesn't want to dilute it. And it's like, but this time it's actually something a bit more serious that got someone a little bit hurt, and like, so she's feeling good about that, and he's not sure how to feel because, and they actually like, I don't know, they kind of just confirm in a kind of offhand way that her and Reggie did have sex, because he's like, oh, I know you slept together. And she just kind of responds with a response that says, yeah. And I know it cuts to that one little moment where she's like, oh, we shouldn't have done that. But you never see who she's with in that little scene. So I almost was thinking there might be
Oh, really?
like a little swerve of some
I
kind.
think it's smart because obviously, Gabe says, I've been thinking about it. I tried to think that you didn't, but yeah, you did.
Yeah,
And I think kind of that's the conclusion we kind of reached as well. We thought about maybe it was someone else, but ultimately it's just that.
That's why it kind of works, because it kind of puts us in his mindset, where there's never really a flat out confirmation. It's like, it seems more likely now than it ever has because of how she responds, but it's never actually 100% concrete, set in stone that it definitely happened.
Right.
So yeah, it works in that sense. But all episode, there's some fun stuff with him and his friends where he's like debating if he should respond. Favorite little moment is like, his friend says, "Oh, just respond with the letter K," and then then a period, and he's like, "Men don't say K. K. So here's what I'm going to do."
That was good. I don't know. I like the other friend where he was like, "Oh, maybe I should do this," and he did that. He goes, "Yeah, go on then, do that." And it's like, "But what about this?" It's like, "Yeah, you could do that."
Yeah, yeah. It
Cracks me up every time I see that sort of thing.
So Lionel catches wind. But between he gets some stuff from Sam about like these investors maybe pulling out from AP House, and he then remembers some stuff that he overheard from Coco and Troy, and he does a little bit of digging, and he looks into who these people were.
He's getting to be a pretty good journalist, isn't he?
Basically, that's kind of what's happening. And he looks into it. He goes to his editor, and his editor's like, "Nah, they own this place. They founded this newspaper. We're not doing that."
Yeah, he pulls out the first article. I can't remember the headline. I remember going, "Oof, that was rough."
Yeah, it was basically a negative article about black protesters, which just that fit into the themes, but also it's like, yeah, they're not the greatest.
It was
people.
something about them taking AP House, wasn't it?
Yeah, so that obviously it's all building up to this town hall meeting where they specifically vet the crowd, so only the people who will ask, will give softballs. Although, admittedly, the girl with the dog maybe lobs too much of a softball. Thanks for giving me my dog. Yeah, that's all I had. And Coco's almost annoyed that she picked someone with such a soft question. It's not even a question; it's just a statement.
Yeah, it's cracking me up. That dog, that stupid dog.
Well, yeah, we got a post-credit scene. The dog's been kidnapped.
So what the worst part is, I know I should feel bad because it's your dog. but I'm like, oh, that stupid dog.
That was their Marvel post credits scene. The dog's been kidnapped, and it might be a race crime because like, oh, black girl with a white dog, not on my watch.
And the rest of them are just like, they're like, we don't give a shit about that dog. I think it's just one of them. You know, she's always around there with that dog, that stupid dog, and one of them is just taking it and left her that, so that she won't suspect them. Sick of her bringing it up constantly, going, "Oh, Sorbet does this, does that."
But that was a weird like post mid credit cliffhanger.
It was strange. I wasn't expecting that. I went to turn it off. I was like, "Hang on, it's not going down. What's going on?"
Yeah, I waited, and then obviously it gives you that little scene before it shrinks, like Netflix usually does.
Yeah.
And so Lionel's been looking into this, and he's been told not to. And I love that they set this up that they'll have like, they'll at the end they'll sort of complain that there's not enough time, and then they'll sort of like pretendingly go, oh, well, maybe there's time for just one more. Like, so I'll give us one more, and like Coco, looks over the crowd and she fixates on Lionel. She's like, oh yeah, he's a dweeb. He will give us such a softball.
And we're there going, oh no, Sam's not the hero of this story. Lionel is.
Yeah, like I was just thinking, oh no, he's hit his integrity point where he's like, no, I have to say something, and I knew he was going to do exactly what Coco didn't want.
Yeah.
And of course he brings up this couple, their money, what they're willing to sell out like their students for, like, is our safety worth $10 million? That's the amount.
Yeah, which, it was like 10 million out of like 4 billion or something like that.
It was 15 billion. It was
15.
Yeah, it was like a huge, like it was basically all the amount that all the students are paying plus whatever else. It all adds up to like 15 billion. So this 10 million is actually a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
So he brings all this up and it causes chaos, and he sends. He not only is he doing this, because I actually thought this was going to be a spur of the moment where he was maybe going to start with a softball and then he was going to like find his courage like mid question.
But nah, he came planning.
He came prepared. He had like an article set to go out. He initiates it, and then everyone gets a notification, and everyone's reading it outside. And of course, meanwhile, outside, Sam shows up to protest with her friends, and of course, there's
another protest group there.
There's a protest group who are there. It's basically a fake protest about binge drinking.
It's sort of it's because the guy who died.
Jumped.
It was him.
But it just feels like an excuse to have a counter protest.
It was, but at least they had something compared to the second group that showed up,
or the third group in total. We've got Sam's group, we've got this binge drinking group, and then the guy from Prestige, Kurt, he shows up, and there's the signs literally say we're mad about something.
Yeah, we're sad. It was one of them.
So they come up, and it becomes this, like, everyone's drowning each other out. It's not really accomplishing much. Gabe does show up here, and I wasn't sure how this was going to go with Sam and Gabe. Like, I wasn't sure where this was going to, because Sam did genuinely seem to actually really care about him, and he did seem to want to get back with her. But then ultimately he says, I keep looking at this, and no matter what I come up with, it's not going to work. So I mean, who knows where it'll go in season 2? Like if like she wins him back, or depending on what way it goes. But at least for now, the end of that story is that he decides that no, this isn't, and it's her doing that sort of caused it as well. So it's very much a character thing. And then meanwhile, Reggie's obviously kind of still longing for Sam, but he keeps kind of like being left on the out. Joel, who luckily shows up to show him how to work the mixing desk at the radio station, because he's sitting there on the panic.
The extent of one fader and one button.
Well, yeah, but if you've never seen this before, you don't know what button puts you live. No, I know, but I like where she
just goes, it's like, yeah, just those.
Because even like, I mean, I understand all this stuff, but if you put me in a radio station and you told me, okay, which button actually makes you broadcast, like I'm not really sure I'd know without.
You figure it out
without having like a good like 20 minutes to sit and like, all right, where are things? Like I'd have to look at it and like examine it a little bit.
Fair enough.
And Reggie doesn't seem like he's doing like engineering or something. He's like he's he's a smart dude, but he's this is not his field. So he's
not.
So he's
I just thought it was amusing that it boiled down to like 2 buttons, and he's just sat there waiting.
Yeah, no one ever said it was complicated.
No.
It looks intimidating when you first see it on these big mixing desks, but it's. And it's funny, like I always find that with these big mixing desks, you actually, once you start using it, you realise you only use about maybe 10% of it most of the time.
It's debatable. I think it depends what you're using it for.
Yeah, if you're doing like, lots of tracks and Pro Tools, then yeah, you're using all the sliders and whatnot. But like typically, whenever I use it, making like films and videos, like you tended to only use a little bit of it, and then the rest of it was just kind of there for bigger projects that had nothing to do with me.
Yeah, fair enough. See, I did a lot of like session recording with the desks, so you use
Yeah.
quite a lot of it.
Because you're recording a lot of instruments.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. No, I was only ever dubbing and ad-libbing that we'd record in the booth. So.
Yeah, very simple.
But yeah, so one thing I liked here is that he's saying his poem over the radio, and again, it kind of has this character thing where Sam's convinced him, because he was dead set against it. That poem was for me. I'm not going to broadcast that. Like, but she's convinced him to do it, and he's doing it. And as he's doing it, he's watching Sam talk to Gabe outside the window. This is all going on at the same time, and it's kind of this thing where she's convinced him, and he's given in because he cares for Sam, and he's like, and it's almost like he's regretting it already, like before he's even said it. And it's he's making this big gesture by doing this thing that she wanted, that he didn't want to do, and she's not even paying attention to him while he's doing it.
Right. And I like that. Again, we're not either, because we're focusing on the conversation with Gabe. Because, like Sam, we've heard this poem before. We don't need to hear it again right now, because we already know it. It's just kind of there in the background compared to all the new information.
Yeah, sure. And so that's good. And obviously, Joelle has a thing for him, and a little bit of tension. And throughout the episode, she's like, hey, like, she tries to offer him advice about like unrequited feelings and that kind of thing. And at the end, so it kind of ends with this nice thing where they all come back to the house, and the AP house, and they all sit down, and it's like it even mirrors like the first episode, because Lionel, of course, throughout the episode, his editor ends up kissing him when he like challenges him and finally swears at him, because he was trying to get him to swear earlier on. So it's this payoff. He's like, "No, I told you not to run this story. Why did you run this story?" And he basically tells him to go F himself, and it apparently turns him on. So he brings him in, and it's very reminiscent of Sam bringing Gabe back in episode 1, and they're watching their stupid knockoff of Scandal. Defamation.
Defamation is the show, and it looks amazing.
Yeah, I love how it's like, it was good for the first few seasons, then it went downhill. And
God, if Scandal was like this, I'd be watching it.
It cuts to the TV, and it's like the most ridiculous looking makeout scene of them on the desk, and like in this flying
and we
position.
were talking about killing the vice president's clone.
Yeah.
That was some of the other stuff in the scene.
Yeah, with the acting being deliciously bad. But yeah, so she basically says to Reggie, like, is there like something between you and Sam? And he looks around, sees her, and then decides, no, there isn't. Not a thing. And it's maybe setting up that, okay, maybe there is a future for Joel and him next season.
I think that's where it's going.
So yeah, it's put us all in these different places. Now, obviously, the one thing that I've skipped over is probably the biggest moment of the episode, is so Coco partly being mad at Troy, and partly taking advantage of the situation for herself.
Yeah, it's the idea that in her episode she realised she didn't need to be behind a man. She can do it herself.
And you see her doing that. You see like he gets there a little bit later than she is, and she's already like calling the shot. She's already like doing all this stuff, and he ends up locked outside with everyone else. And he doesn't actually know he's locked outside until later on, but it's when everyone gets the notification about the article, and he reads all this, and he has these little flashbacks where he like kind of puts all the pieces together, where he's basically been a puppet for his father for all this stuff, and that upsets him to the point where he as everyone's arguing about what's going on, like he picks up this shovel and he goes up and he smashes in the door, the glass door. And well, because back in episode 5, or maybe there was episode after that, when we sort of his father, the dean, was talking about like, oh, this would never happen to my son, the whole thing with the gun and all this stuff.
Yeah, definitely 6.
Yeah, so we were talking about that, and we were saying it'd be a bit strange if they started just doing that with every character. It'd feel a bit forced. And while it kind of happens here, it doesn't feel forced for a couple of reasons. One is, I think when we were talking about it, we were talking about a completely isolated incident that would just kind of happen at random on its own, whereas this is not random. This is... We see
part of the protest. We've seen this.
It's part of the protest that's related to what's going on, but it's also, we see all the security and police that are there for the protest. And then we see him smash a window in front of them. Of course they're going to go and act on that.
And to be fair, like, this is something that just in life, when it's big crowds of protests.
Oh, it's normal. Yeah, it's not.
That's it. Like they're prepared for that. That's the default situation of what they're going to go to.
They know what's going to happen, and they don't do the exact same thing either. Because honestly, it's not even from Troy's perspective. The reason why this moment works so well is his father. It's the dean running out because everything's going down in slow motion, and they're handcuffing him. And everyone's kind of like worried, and then it gets to that. And honestly, for a minute, I'm like, oh, it's not actually. I mean, he's getting arrested. It's not like raises and rainbows or anything. But it seems kind of fine. Like they're already handcuffed him. Like what
Yeah.
the situation shouldn't go that far. But he's still kind of struggling, and you get that one shot of the cop going for his gun, and it's like, oh god, really? Like,
I will say though, I didn't quite buy it. I never bought that the moment it was ever going to get to that in this episode. You know, like that was the thing in episode 5. You know, it came out of nowhere. It was like, oh, this escalated. Whereas here, when they were playing up, I'd never believed that the show didn't make me believe in the moment that the gun was ever going to get pulled out and used. That I didn't feel the threat as much.
well, it doesn't really matter though if it was ever going to come out. It's not really the point. The point is that his father comes running out, and he has previously said, no, this would never happen to my son, but he comes running out in slow motion screaming, don't struggle, don't struggle. Like, he's worried of the same thing happening. The very thing they were just having a debate of, that he was trying to sugarcoat and try and say, well, sweep this under the rug, everything's fine. And he gives all this kind of like almost propaganda, like this when he's talking to the helpers beforehand. He's like, this is how real change happens, it's slowly from within, and it kind of sounds like just kind of like a log line. It's buzzwords. But he comes running out, and that's why the scene works so well. It's like, it's not that we almost have a repeat of what happened to Reggie with Troy. It's that this father, like the dean, comes running out, panicking that might have happened.
And I like that Troy's done this on purpose to intentionally undermine it. After he's realised what's happened, how Coco's kind of played him, and then he sees the article and he realises everyone else has played him as well. He's just like, nah, forget this. And he does this, very intentionally to go undermine it, to present the idea of, hey, because before it was always brushed off as, he was the student president. It wouldn't happen to him. He's respectable. But it's like, no, this can happen to me as well. So he kind of puts himself in that situation.
Yeah. And I'm not even sure how much he was like consciously thinking about the plan of it. Like it feels very like, he has this idea just in the spur of the moment, and he's like, it's almost like emotion just takes over.
Yeah.
But like, that seemed I very much how the party at the start of the season like kind of influenced a lot of the first half of the show. I can see this incident influencing a lot of the first half of the second season.
Yeah, definitely.
The fallout of it, where it goes from here and all that stuff. So no, very very strong moment. As much as you said the show never convinced you that the gun would be pulled out, I don't necessarily think it felt unbelievable either, though. Like, it felt...
I didn't feel unbelievable, but it was more when the dean's running out and shouting, I don't think I ever believed the threat that he clearly felt. The show never quite convinced me of that.
Which I think, again, is fine. I don't think it matters. I think the point is that he feels that fear.
Yeah, I don't think I was quite in the dean's head in the same way I'm usually in a character's head in those moments.
I think that works though, because we've never been in the dean's head. Like,
no, that's fair.
Because the thing with every other character who we've had like episodes devoted to is that we've gotten in their heads, we've really learned them as people. Whereas the dean's almost kind of an antagonist in the show, because he's always against what the rest of the characters are usually aiming for. He's kind of the yes man, the political kind of figure. Yeah. So just seeing him have this reaction when we've never seen him, even show a sign of weakness before, right. But here he's vulnerable. He's terrified that his son, and Troy's fine. Like, Troy's like, no, I'm okay. That he says he's okay. Like, but he's made his point. He's like, but he knows he's fine. Like, he's done. But and the thing is, like, yeah, because they talk about the end, like, will they actually take AP House from us? And I'm like, well, they were upset that there was going to be a protest, but now that there's going to be footage from it of like someone, the dean's son being arrested, like, that obviously adds all these new elements into the media. Like, this is what they're seeing now. Like, I think the actual effect though, from like a internal point of view, will be, they know it's his son, and he was supposed to be like an ally. He was supposed to be working with the system, and then like he's ruffled those feathers, and like, so how do they react because of that? How does the dean try and sugarcoat this with these investors and everyone else?
Yeah,
like, so there's a lot of interesting like dilemmas and things that should come up from it, which could prove cool. But no, I think it's obvious to say that this show has been great all season, and it's played off of itself. Most of the characters feel like they've had like some stronger than others, but most of them feel like they've had like an arc that's kind of neatly kind of got them in a place in this final episode. And funnily enough, the most open-ended one to an extent is Sam, where Sam has just kind of had this kind of failure, and it's made her kind of question, like, because even like Kurt says, like, everything you've done, like, and he's been a douchebag, don't get me wrong.
Like, what have you actually accomplished?
Yeah, have you actually helped anyone? And she kind of is speechless, so she can't really respond to it.
Exactly. I think she's kind of, in a way, had the smallest arc. She's come the farthest compared to everyone else, where she was sure of herself at the start, and now she's like unsure a bit. She seems to be questioning herself a little bit, I think, because she goes up to Coco, she offers that branch of friendship again. It's like, so she's not as dead set in her ideals as she was earlier in the season.
But I think that's just kind of the point, though. She's never really. She thought she was, but she never really
Yeah.
actually was. Like this whole idea that she's hides parts of her personality. She like doesn't speak up when something goes against what she puts out there.
So in that sense,
ideas.
there's the self acceptance theme, which has been throughout most of the characters. Is all of them is they come to accept themselves for who they are, whatever that may be.
But I think the whole idea of her sitting with Coco at the end and trying to be friendly, it's her going, okay, the way I've been doing things and the sort of the bridges I've built and the bridges I've burned maybe aren't necessarily the right path that should have been taken. And she's sitting down, she's trying to okay, right, just analyze and sort of reconsider what the approaches are. And I can see her doing a bit of soul searching in season 2 and how does she actually tackle things from this point on. Now, don't get me wrong, she's still going to have a radio show, she's still going to be doing her thing, but clearly there may be
does she take a different approach?
Possibly. Don't know, but I think it's interesting that she's had 2 love interests, and it's it ends the season with no, she's not with either of them. It's like she is not she's not accepted herself yet, so therefore she's not really ready to be in a relationship yet either. As a result, so that's good stuff. So no, full of arcs. Characters were funny. It was it makes a lot of poignant points. It gets very dramatic at times, and episode 5, edge of your seat,
Definitely.
ridiculously so. But no, it makes a lot of points, but it's also really funny, very consistently, and the characters are largely very likable. So no, really good first season.
Looking forward to the second. I really hope that in the run up when they're doing the promotional stuff, I hope Netflix gives us some, just some clips from Defamation to get us in the mood.
Sure.
It's easy promotion stuff for them to do, isn't it?
I can almost see a series short 30-second things.
Just like the sort of stuff we see in this episode. Just give us that full scene, for example.
The only reason why I think maybe not is that I don't think anyone who doesn't watch the show would get it.
Probably not,
this?
But it's more just to build excitement again, get people back into it.
There you go, season 1. Let us know what you think of the season. Any comments below, subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on Twitter at mailed_fudge for channel updates. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/mailfudgetv, and you can do that over there. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you very much once again for watching. Who's got the dog?